Hello my friends, today we are going to take a look inside the Ableton project of my new song, Everything Will Be Alright. This is how it sounds. This one is for the nerds. And if you have never seen this before, maybe you have fun as well. This is how music production looks. So let's get right into it. This song is actually pretty basic. Doesn't look like it, but I am trying to make my songs, at least the songs from this, it will be an album. These singles, which will release as singles, I try to make them as simple as possible songwriting wise. So we have a lot, not copy-paste, some variations, but very similar song parts overall. I organize my sessions quite logically, I would guess. I always start with drums at the top, then bass elements, then synths usually, and I switched it up in this song. I usually have guitars and then vocals at the bottom, but now I have guitars at the bottom because I had the vocals finished and then I thought I need some more guitars. So we re-recorded some guitars. Let's start at the bottom because I think this song is really guitar heavy because I wrote it on my guitar. I never wanted it to be a dancey kind of track. It turned out to be one somehow. I don't know how that happened. But I think it is really based around this idea of a singer-songwriter track. So these are the main guitars, the important ones. Lovely clean tones. This amp right here. This is it. If you want beautiful sounding guitars, buy a Marshall amp. Marshall amps are not very well known for the clean tones, but the vintage ones, this is a reissue one, not a real vintage plexi one, but boy, the clean tones. Yeah, pretty straightforward, basic guitars, not much to it. No processing on the individual tracks. Who would have thought that? Only a little low cut. But some processing on the guitar bass, which is also not very secret, but if you want to sound like me, guitar-wise, use some warping, some pitch modulation here. I can accentuate it a little bit. That's what is happening, but only soft. I use it a lot actually, and I also bend my guitar neck while I'm playing to get more modulation. It makes it sound way more lively. EQing just, no, actually a little more than a little bit. Yeah, my trusty Valhalla Room plugin, not really a secret as well, everybody. If you don't have Valhalla Room and if you're a music producer, shame on you, get it now. It sounds amazing. Everybody knows it. We all love Valhalla Room. Yeah, pretty straightforward, basic melody rhythm thing in the beginning, and then I have some straight chords here. And that is it for this electric guitar. This one is copy-pasted here, as you can see. And it's the same sound with a little bit more drive. moving on. This is vocals. Let's leave them for later. Let's mute vocals. Next thing on my list is something very important for me personally. I don't want to say I discovered it. It's not a very special thing, but I like to use atmospheric layers in my production that I call scapes. And I don't want to tell my secrets here about how I actually make them. This, you can see all this, of course, Portal, some grainy stuff, some what's it called again? Granular synthesis. But I'm not going to tell you exactly how I do it, because that's my little secret. But they sound like this. Let's turn the sidechain off for a second. More sidechaining happening somewhere. Do I have spaces? Yeah, probably here. Yeah. This is it. And this is a rhythmic thing, just doing its thing, not changing anything chord-wise. It's just a layer with atmospheric moving things. And the magic happens when you play different chords over it. So let's try to... Whoopsie, my mic is... Something is happening with my preamp. Sorry about that. Let's try to mute most of the stuff here so I can show you the scapes and the guitars solo, because this is, if you take away anything from this session, and thank you for listening, by the way, if you're still watching, this is it. Do this, your productions will improve drastically. Where is it? So this is just guitars and scapes. Do you hear it? The scapes are there all the time, but they do form different chords. Of course, if you keep one note playing all the time and then you change the bass note, of course you get different chords. But if you have one note going through the entire thing without changing at all, and you play different chords over them, it sounds more complex than just having different chords. At least that's what I find, and that's what I like a lot. Maybe it's a little more beautiful because there's so much drive going on here. A little bit more beautiful in the intro. Yeah. Yeah. They are very subtle. You don't hear them too much in the whole production, especially with vocals over them. Like this. If this is what it takes to reach what we dreamed of when we were kids, a mistake on the way will be just away from the end. But they add a lot. Do not oversee the little things. Little things make out a lot in the end. It's all these. That's how I approach my production. I want to keep it as simple as possible, while keeping very close attention to details. So have less layers. Okay, this is one of my most complex songs from the newer ones, with 80 or so layers. But hear me out. Pay great attention to detail and delete some layers. Always think about, do I need this layer? If the answer is maybe, delete it. Only if you're 100% sure that you need it, keep it. And pay more attention to shaping the sounds more carefully, rather than just adding more and more and more and more just to make it more complex. Make the individual sounds more complex. Yes, moving on. Scapes and guitars. The most important things of my production, actually. I have a few more guitars somewhere here. Acoustic guitars. Also, again, not much going on here. A little bit of compression, EQ, of course, cutting away the lows because it's a dance song and there are a lot of synths going on in the sub range, so you don't want to keep much of the lows of the guitars so it doesn't get muddy. I'm very very strict here with my filtering. Yeah. It is nothing special. Honestly, my production is nothing special. I'm just very careful about which things I keep and which things I delete. And this is... People have said to me multiple times, hey, your production sounds so clean. How do you do that? That is my answer. Just delete unnecessary stuff. I'm not a magician, even though I wish I was. I can't do magic. I can't do anything other than just deleting unnecessary stuff, and that is going to make your productions cleaner. Anyhow. Oh yeah, synthesizers. Next up. What is this? This is a secret thing. I'm not gonna show you this, but another scape. Not changing at all. It's just there. And then the main melody. No, this is not the main melody. I thought this was the main melody. It is not. Where's the main melody? Here it is. A few layers. If you recognize this sound. Oh, come on. Don't leave me like this. Without the side chaining, maybe. Where is the side chaining? This is heavily processed. You're my friend if you recognize this. Instant friendship. I'm gonna show it to you. Whoopsie. Didn't mean to do that. Oops. It is. I don't know how the melody is. Oh man, the latency is insane. Sorry. I can't play it right now, but it is Porter Robinson's Sad Machine sample, an original one. I actually found out through digging Reddit for weeks, searching the internet, I found out what sound he uses, and it is from a weird plugin called Sforzando. I don't know if this is how you say it. Sforzando. Which is a sampler with all sorts of very low quality, weird things. Do you remember these keyboards we all had somewhere in band rooms or music schools, or friends had those in their room. I don't know, these old keyboards with basic sound libraries on them with horns and drums and everything, these greenish knobs, and they always kind of sucked and nobody really used them. But I guess this is a sound library of one of those. And there is a lot of trash in it, but this instrument right here, this sample, sounds very, very distorted and weird, but it has something about it that I like. And I wanted to pay an homage to Porter Robinson, even though you don't really recognize the sound in the whole track. But Worlds is basically an album for me that changed my perception of what electronic music can be. And I really love it to this day, so I wanted to use a few sounds of his, and I found one that I like. And this one, distorted and sidechained and with reverb on it, lo-fi effects, even more compression, more distortion, more compression. It's pretty ridiculous what I did to this sound. But I wanted it to really cut through the mix. And it's very hard to have a lead sound competing with acoustic guitars. So if you want to have it cut through, you have to really distort it. This is how it sounds. It is also layered with some guitars. A lot of reverb on here. Had to freeze the track because my CPU dies, but it's a Lexicon Universal Audio reverb, which sounds amazing. Low octave. Together. Some filtering going on here as well. And of course, a lot of sidechaining. Don't worry about long reverbs too much if you are very careful with your frequencies below 500 Hertz, and if you're sidechaining a lot. Then you can get away with making it really lush, but still sounding up front. Like this one. Let me engage the drums. And bass. And here's the guitar that I talked about. Also insanely compressed. And if you want to have a lead sound cut through this, you have to be brutal. Yeah, more for the drop. There's a layer here that I sampled from my, I don't know if you can see it. This is an analog synth up there, modular one. And I sampled this from it. Yeah, just messed around with FM. Frequency modulation. Frequenzmodulation, I'm thinking German. Yeah, heavily distorted, of course. I like distortion, you can tell. Rift is amazing, by the way. If you don't know Rift, look into it, try it, fall in love with it, and then buy it, like I did. Yeah, I can't really show you how I got this sound because I can't remember, and it's a recorded one that I chopped up, as you can see. This is layered with the star of the track, of course, the star of every track, the sub bass. Also a lot of sidechaining going on. I used Sublab for this synth. Come on, open already. My CPU is dying, by the way, because I'm recording with OBS and... Oh no! Don't die, Ableton, don't die. Don't die on me now. I think it died. Guess who's back? Back again. Johnny's back. Well, I'm not gonna make the same mistake again and open Sublab. No, Sublab. Not Rift. I can open Rift, I guess. This is a trick for the nerds that I like to do. Watch closely. This sound right here. No, this is a guitar. This one. What I like to do, if I add distortion to a bass sound, is I like to split my signal into two at least, maybe three sometimes. So I take parts of this frequency spectrum, the lows, the mids, the highs usually, sometimes only the sub frequency like here, like I did here, and the mids, lower mids to highs. I do this with a filter, of course, by hand, mostly. You have to be careful where you make the cut, so you don't get weird phasing issues. But I like to do this and just distort the mids. So I will not change the frequency behavior of the sub notes. You will of course add harmonics if you distort. That is the whole reason for distortion, for distorting sounds, adding harmonics on top, odd or even harmonics depending on which distortion you choose. But what happens, of course, if you distort 50, 60 hertz, you will add these harmonics also in the lower mid range and in the sub-harmonic spectrum. Through all sorts of different effects that I can explain better in German than I can in English. But reason for this being, for me splitting up, is if the bass sounds good, the bass range, the bass frequency below 100 hertz, this is where I filtered. If it sounds good like it is, better leave it alone, don't touch it. Don't make it muddy or anything. Just distort, if you want distortion, just distort the upper frequencies. And this is why I make the cut. And this is what I do a lot with bass. If I want a distorted sound, I leave the bass alone to not make it too clouded with harmonics in areas I don't want to have, where I don't want to have the harmonics, if you understand. What we are hearing in case of distortion sounds is mostly above like 200 hertz. If you distort 100 hertz or 80 hertz, you're not gonna hear it. What you're gonna hear is the harmonics above 200 hertz that you add. So you can just leave it alone below 100 if you want to have audible distortion, right? Because you're not gonna hear it anyways. You're just gonna mess with the... I say the same shit 3 times, but I think you got it right now. It's subtle. It's not heavy distortion. It's subtle, but works for me. Weird EQ curve right here. Who knows? If it sounds good, it sounds good. Trust your ears. Okay, I can show you one of my favorite sounds of this whole track. This one. drums are probably the most complex thing in this track. And this metallic hat right here is actually... Where are my keys? Not here, unfortunately. I recorded my keys. And I just made some noises with my keys in front of a microphone. And then I chopped it up into... you see it here? All sorts of different... I used the attacks and then cut it to a rhythmic pattern. This is how it sounds now. Isn't it cool? Very unique sounding hat. I still have the sample somewhere. Let me look. Samples, Johnny, my samples. I'm gonna release a sample pack somewhere, somewhere, someday in the future. I'm still working on it. Oh, this is it. It's very quiet. But I just recorded my keys, basically. And the hats are one of the main focus of this part that I just showed you, which is I have to play more music and talk less, right? This part right here. Without the hats and the snare, I don't know how the snare ended up in my hat group. It's carrying the whole part. I also have a weird... I had some weird hats in this one. I don't know why, but I felt weird, probably. I have this other weird hat here, which isn't a hat, but I use it as one. Oh, it used to be a hat, actually, but I maybe just cut everything out other than the attack. And then frequency shifted it in certain parts. And that's also what I'd like to do with hats, make them move from left to right. With this lovely autopan. Ableton's autopan. Love it. Do the other hats shift from left to right? I don't think so. No, they don't. But the other ones do. It adds complexity. This is what I talked about earlier, right? Remember? Have less layers, but pay close attention to what you want to do. If you want to add complexity, of course you can just add another hat. But if you have another hat, a very simple one, not a complex one, just move from left to right. And another stationary one, which is wider. You're going to have all sorts of different variations tone-wise in this little section here. Notice how one of them is... It's not complex production-wise, I guess. Not many fancy rhythms, just a little rhythmic variation in the plucky head going on, but nothing fancy, just 16th notes and a kick and a snare and some percussion in here. Those. Let me play the drums. Here, those. Subtle effects. Nothing huge. And then just escape, sustaining one note or a few notes the whole time, and a bass change. 4 notes. 4. Yeah. Okay, 5. There's another one. I notice how I called it build here. The break and the build use the same pattern, the same harmonic pattern. It is basically a pop song. The pre-chorus here is the same one as the pre-chorus here, just the instrumentation is a little bit different, as well as the verse. It's basically the same as this one, just rhythmically different. And this build part right here, this pre-chorus and build part, is harmonically also there's a lovely synth here, isn't it? Wonderful. It's the same as here. I just like to change the instruments up a little bit. Add different instruments here, take away a few instruments there, but keep the overall structure very, oh god, my German accent is bad. Keep it very repetitive, you know? Harmonic wise. Don't distract the listener too much. Everything we add or take away is just ear candy to make it more interesting. To not have a copy-paste song of all the same segments all the time. But for the sake of listening, most of the stuff is going to be subconscious. No listener is going to take the time to pinpoint every single element in the song, right? You just want to keep it interesting and therefore change it up a little bit. But don't add, if you want to write pop music like I do, don't change up the harmonic structure, man. Keep it simple. Vocals. Last thing, right? I think I talked a lot about this song. We can speed it up a little bit and come to a close. Yeah, let me just play you the vocals maybe and have a listen.
If this is what it takes to reach what we dreamed of when we were kids, a mistake on the way will be just a wave in the endless sea. Close your eyes, this is not the end of time. Yeah, we all get lost sometimes. Everything will be alright, be alright. Close your eyes.
Man, I love harmonics. Like vocoders and harmonic tracks. You can tell, I guess. The main vocals is just basic main vocal stuff. Nothing fancy going on here, but they are rendered already. So EQ and compression, of course. What I like to do is, I don't know if you can see it, I have an 1176 from Universal Audio right here that I use this Neumann U87 into. And then I use a bit of compression on the way in. I'm using a Giraffe G9 tube preamp, and it sounds a little bit compressed on the way in anyways, because I use tube compression and I use the 1176, and then I just use another 1176 on top and the LA2A. Very classic combination. Everybody uses it. And then maybe some multiband compression too, and saturation afterwards, depending on if I want to make it sound more aggressive or not. Nothing fancy, just basic vocal chain stuff. I can't show it to you right now because I have rendered it already, but I rarely use EQ on my vocals. You can see it here, but this is just the vocoder. So I use like 2 or 3 dBs on my vocals, max, EQ wise. Never boost or cut more than that. I think that this is one of the biggest mistakes you can make with vocal processing, is EQing too heavy. If you have a good mic, if you don't have a good mic, you have to correct a little more, of course, but don't overdo EQ on the vocals. This is a no. Never over EQ vocals.
If this is what it takes to reach what we dreamed of when we were kids, a mistake on.
And I'm very extensively using delays and reverb on my vocals, as you can tell. I have these two, maybe show you them before. This is, I haven't rendered these ones. Here's my vocal chain. Universal Audio 1176, LA2A, Distressor, also compressing even more.
If this is what it takes to.
And Autotune heavy, because I'm sounding better as a singer on this record than I am in real life. Of course, we all use Autotune. We do. It was in the 1176, LA2A, Distressor, Autotune, Pultec. Man, I love this one. I just told you I boost 2 dBs or 3 dBs max. Here I boosted 8. So never trust me. No. Dude, I just love this EQ. The Pultec. Sounds great. I only use it to boost 12K or 16K. And then I overdo it. And then I bring it back a little bit, and then it sounds great.
This is what it takes to read.
De-essing, multiband compression. That's how it goes. Well, 2.7 here, 1.46 here. Minor EQ. Looks heavier than it is because I scaled the window.
If this is what it takes to read.
Yeah, so basic vocal layer. 1 layer, 2 harmonics, another harmonic layer. But the real trick is this right here. Listen to this.
If this is what it takes to reach what we dreamed of when we were
This is how it sounds dry
and
wet.
Will be just away from the endless sea. Close your eyes.
So I use a dry, then this one. I told you before, get Valhalla Room. If you don't have it, you should have it. Everyone should have it. Very long reverb. There's another dry because I didn't pay attention. This is one of my all-time favorite plugins of all time. EP34 delay, man, it sounds so great. Can't I solo the 2? No, I can't. But I can mute all the other ones. This is how it sounds. Oh, it sounds so smooth, man. I love it.
Let's see. Close your eyes. This is not the end of time. Yeah, we all get lost.
So, I didn't mention this. Sorry. The trick here is the EP34 is mono, but you can use it in stereo. If you duplicate them, have two tracks, one left, one right, in the group in Ableton here. This is the track. Have an audio effect rack. Duplicate these, set them to wet. One left, one right, and then what you do is you change up the repetition time. I'm missing the word here, but you know what I mean. This is fourth notes, quarter notes. Quarter? Do you call them quarter? Man, my English sucks at the moment. I should speak more English. Quarter notes, and then change one up like 2 or 3 or 4 milliseconds. And because it is a tape delay and it is analog anyways, and the plugin is emulating that, it is never going to sound the same. So even if you change it up only like 3 or 4 milliseconds, you won't get phasing or anything. It is just going to be stereo. Which it isn't usually. You have to have two. Yep, change them up a little bit, and it sounds way better in stereo, of course. I'm never gonna use it mono. I'm never gonna use it mono ever again. That's what I wanted to say. And have a snack. Important. Have trash snacks in your studio. Improves your songwriting by 10% at least.
Yeah,
vocoder wise, I use the manipulator, infected mushroom manipulator. Sounds great. I like it better than the isotope one.
Close your eyes. This is not the end of time.
That's all.
Yeah, we all get
Vocals.
lost sometimes. Everything will be alright. Be alright. Close your eyes. Yeah, we all get lost sometimes. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright.
Two more things I want to say. First, never have a part of your song longer than 8 bars. And I'm losing track, man. My English is like I have this thought in German I want to say it in English, and I'm losing words. Always change up your parts after 8 bars. Always do something. Add a guitar. And, right, listen to this. Same thing, but with a guitar. Keep your music interesting. Never repeat the same thing over and over again. Always change something along the run. This is one of the most important songwriting tips I ever got. Don't change up the harmonic structure, add little bits and pieces, or take something away. There's 2 ways to build tension. 1, adding something. 2, taking something away. And this is what I do. I add stuff or I take stuff away, but I keep the song rolling and don't make it more complex harmonic-wise and melody-wise. All I do is change up the sounds. And the second thing I want to talk about is mastering, because there's not really much mastering going on. A little bit of compression, a little more compression. Little more compression. Only minor. And limiting. That's all. Mix your songs well. I don't like to overly process them anyways in terms of mastering, because I think they sound trash. If you want to have a loud sounding song, listen loud, you stupid idiot. Don't master your songs so loud that they sound loud when they're quiet and then sound trash when they are actually loud. Master them so they sound good when they're actually loud. That's my approach. So I like to focus on the mix, make a good mix, then add some limiting and compression, tiny little bit, and then call it a day. And if people think it sounds too quiet, it's their problem. They can turn it up loud if they want to. Yeah, that's my philosophy on this song. I think I talked a little bit too much and had too many details. But anyways, if you want to have more of this and more insights into my music, comment below. Let me know what you want to hear, what you want to know with my future releases as well. This is not the only song that I'm releasing now. I'm releasing more soon. So stay tuned and have a great day. Peace.